Thanks, Nick. Good morning, everyone, and thank you to the team at Resources Rising Stars for the opportunity to present DevEx's uranium projects in the Northern Territory here to you today. If I can leave you with a couple of messages at the end of this presentation, they would be that DevEx has a very large exploration portfolio in the Northern Territory in one of the world's largest uranium provinces. Last year, we ended the season with a group of intercepts and significant bunch of intercepts from a number of prospects surrounding DevEx's Nabarlek uranium project. And this year and next month, we plan to be back out there drilling and following up on those results. So in an emerging uranium market, DevEx stands out, and from the crowd, in my view, we're unique as far as being one of the very few ASX companies exploring for high-grade uranium in Australia, and as we move forward this year with our drill programs targeting high-grade uranium in the Northern Territory. This is our usual disclaimer, which I urge you to read at your own leisure. So focusing in on our projects and getting right to the nub of it, where we're planning to be very active this year, I'm just showing you a map here of the Alligator Rivers uranium province in the Northern Territory. This is north of the Jabiru township. This is the core area, and it's not called a uranium province without good measure. Over 600 million pounds of uranium has been either mined or defined in current resources in this region. It's well known as a very high-grade conventional hard rock uranium area with a long history of discovery and long history of mining, including a number of significant deposits in those areas surrounding DevEx's tenure, which is located in blue, located outside the national park, including projects like on the mine, like Ranger Uranium Mine, which mined for well over 45 years, producing over 300 million pounds at a grade of 0.2% uranium. Or likewise, the big Jabiluka resource that's still sitting there in the ground, just inside that window inside the national park, with over 300 million pounds defined at 0.5% uranium. And likewise around DevEx's project, including within our own project, the historical Nabarlek uranium mine, in which we still hold the granted mining lease surrounding the old mine, which mined 24 million pounds at 1.84% uranium back in the 1980s. Very quick, very high grade at 2%, almost 2%, and that gives us that focus for why we're talking about this being unique, high grade in this region. And of course, we've got 3 granted exploration tenements in the area, and including the mining lease at Nabarlek itself. Just to set the scene again for people that are new to the uranium industry and what makes these deposits so significant and in scale, these are a couple of models, and there's a lot of similarities in Canada within an area called the Athabasca Basin, where likewise big uranium deposits are being found, and these deposits are generally termed unconformity style uranium deposits. And so just to explain, and there's a message in this in terms of scale, is that the unconformity is sitting at that base of that sandstone, which is a yellow rock, and then the basement rocks host a lot of uranium mineralization. First of the uranium is found at that contact between the yellow and the green rocks, where you see a lot of uranium there. But what brings out the big deposits in the region, both in the Athabasca Basin and also here in the Alligator Rivers uranium province, is when they're hosted in structures and they continue well below that unconformity in structures like what you see on the left, which is Jabiluka, or on the far right, which is Ranger, where you're seeing 300 million pounds in scale. And from a scale perspective on the far right, you'll see that that's 1,000 metres. So these deposits just continue in scale and size. And so when DevEx is exploring its own projects and starting to get deeper intercepts in its own region, it really means a lot to us as we move forward with our exploration planning for this year. So just a quick snapshot. Most people understand the uranium price and the uranium spot price and where it's going, or where we believe it's going to go. We're excited about it. It's been in the doldrums for a very long time, and hence a lack of activity. DevEx bought this project back in 2008 when we were hopeful of the uranium price. We've seen over a decade of that inactivity, but now with the upsurge in the uranium price, courtesy of a lot of tension in the market as far as where that supply is going to come from, is we're looking at this exploration program, which is why we kicked it off really hard last year and why we've been following up on these results. The image in the back is just showing you the countryside of where we're actually exploring. Our exploration camp is on the Narberlek airstrip. This airstrip was put in for the Narberlek mine, which is up in the top part of the image. It's flat country. It's easily traversable during the dry season. You've got tracks, roads, bitumen roads in the area. It's brownfields exploration in this region. We don't need helicopters like up in northern Canada, where you've got to fly your drill rigs around. We're just driving around, and drilling's cheap, which is why we were able to drill a lot of holes over last year's season and also what we've got planned for this year. So just showing you where our activities are planned, especially the drilling activities in the Narberlek area. This is zooming right in now to our actual project at Narberlek itself. The red outline there is the Narberlek mining lease, and of course the black bubble box is pointing to where the Narberlek mine was, which produced those 24 million pounds at almost 2%. It took them 4 months to mine that deposit and bring it to the surface, and 8 years of processing yellow cake on site. What we're doing is we're exploring the region around. So all those magenta and red dots represent historical uranium intercepts, greater than 500 ppm or greater than 1,000 ppm or 0.1% uranium. We've been focused last year, and we're looking at getting back there next month in this year for 2024 on 2 key areas. We're focused on those because naturally you go where the low-hanging fruit is, and the first place you go is north of the mine, immediately north of the mine within the mining lease, and south of the mine, and similarly to the top right at the U40 prospect, where we were following up on a Cameco DevEx Resources joint venture intercept at a U40 of 6 metres at 7% back in 2010, just prior to the downturn in the industry with the Fukushima disaster. What we're looking at up there at U40 is we've now been on the ground last year, drilling a lot of holes and getting a lot of results, and we're getting back there this year to keep going with that work. So I'm just taking you through U40, and then I'll bring you back into the mine site area as well. So the map on the left-hand side is showing you the drilling that we did last year and all the uranium results from that results. We followed up around that high-grade intercept from 2010, and we've grown that significantly to over a strike length of 500 metres. Right now, the drilling has defined a lot of uranium intercepts where we're focused on the first 100 metres from surface, drilling uranium mineralisation, trying to understand what this uranium mineralisation looks like, what the grade is, and what the continuity is. And over that 500 metres, a lot of significant intercepts have been returned, and we're defining it in 2 zones, an eastern zone and a western zone, to be sort of simplistic about it. And the cross-section on the right-hand side, which is just showing a slice through that area, defining those 2 zones, sets a scene. We seem to have a steeper zone where we're seeing high-grade uranium intercepts, and then a western zone, which is flat dipping, associated with a breccia and associated with structures that's bringing in the uranium mineralisation as well. And importantly, at the end of last year, at the end of the 2023 season, we felt that, okay, we're defining this uranium mineralisation at first 100 metres. It's time now to step out and let's drill a deep hole under this and let's see what we get. So we drilled a hole 220, which is that blue bubble box pointing to that intercept at the bottom there. That's at 257 metres down the hole, and we got 5 metres at just over 0.5% uranium, which is significant grade. We regard that as really high grade, and we're looking forward to following up on that. Why I point out to that is similarly to the models I was showing you earlier before, this is now getting quite deep, and it's getting, it's now showing extent of uranium mineralisation really well below the unconformity. And the long section that I'm showing you here, where all those dots represent drill hole intercepts through that eastern zone, it's not showing you mineralisation from the western zone, it's just focused on that eastern high-grade zone where those dots show those intercepts. What it's telling us now is that the yellow, again, the yellow rock is that sandstone, the unconformity with the crystalline basement rocks is the green, the uranium intercepts are just coloured up as downhole intercepts overall. We're seeing a flat, shallowly plunging zone of uranium mineralisation as we've been drilling it out in the first 100 metres. And then with that last hole that we drilled at 220, which is the one down on the bottom left-hand side, we're now seeing high-grade uranium intercepts at significant depths well below that unconformity. And that changes the scale for this project overall. We're planning to come back straight in next month with the drill rigs, and we want to drill that area out a panel of holes, not 1, not 2, but a broad space round of drilling at this. We're really on the hunt for another Jabiluka-style deposit here. We're looking for the big deposits here, and with intercepts like that, now it's time to really step out and start opening up the drilling with what we want to do there, and also follow up that shallow plunging mineralisation with more drilling as well. So it's shaping up to be a big year again for 2024 at U40, and then likewise within the mining lease itself, and the outlines that you're seeing here. The red outline is that mining lease, as I was showing you earlier on. The imagery underneath is gravity, and I'll get to that in a second, but you'll see all the drilling results that we're doing. The black bubble box points to the Nabarlek uranium mine itself, where the open pit once was, and then our exploration last year to the north and to the south, which is now defining uranium mineralisation at very shallow depths. So the intercepts on the right are typically from depths to the north of the mine of about 20 to 40 metres thereabouts. And so we're just encountering this mineralisation. We're planning to follow up on this back into the mining lease. And so those intercepts are really important to us. And you know, just to emphasise, 13 metres at 0.28% uranium for us is high grade. That grade there is equivalent to about 6 pounds per tonne uranium. So, you know, we certainly regard that as high grade. And when it's near surface, it's a great opportunity inside a mining lease, and following that into the mining lease is really important. And as I mentioned with that image in the background, this is work we did last year. So 45 years on from mining of Nabarlek itself, finally we've gotten onto the ground and actually doing ground geophysics, which is helping us to understand where these structures which host the uranium are, and then that steels our judgment for what we're trying to do. There's a lot of red dots there representing drill holes with uranium intercepts in it. This gravity work that we did last year is now saying, hey, this is on a structure, you need to follow the structure, you need to drill this. So it's giving us a lot of context for what we want to do inside a mining lease around an existing uranium deposit, which is Nabarlek itself, which was mined in 1980. So we've got a lot of work to do inside that mining lease to continue with the work. Look, just stepping out in scale at a new area that we've recently joint ventured on with a number of deals in the area, which is the Murphy West project, right down in the bottom left. So Nabarlek I've been showing you is up in the top left-hand side, that tenure there with over 4,500 square kilometres. And then likewise down at Murphy West, we have over 5,000 square kilometres of a greenfields exploration opportunity. The key point to this is that, like the Athabasca Basin, this basin in the Northern Territory, which hosts significant uranium deposits, as I mentioned, we're looking at that unconformity, that area at the base of that basement, and that's why we like this area down here at Murphy West, where similarly we're seeing similar geology. The bottom of the MacArthur Basin in contact with those green rocks again is an area where there's been a lack of exploration over time, courtesy of the downturn in the industry many years ago, and likewise early stage exploration is what's needed. So we're planning to fly that area there, and just zooming into that area just to show you what we're talking about. We're looking at similar rocks, which is similar to the uranium deposit located in Queensland called the Westmoreland uranium deposit. That's 52 million pounds thereabouts, hosted in sandstone, which is at the base of that big basin, and of course the rocks that are looked underneath it. It's trending to the west, of course. It comes across the Queensland border into Northern Territory, get my states right, and then likewise the tenements where we are there host similar rocks. Very poorly explored in that region, and we plan to get out there this year once it dries out and get the planes in the air and start doing a radiometric survey, looking for the signs of uranium at surface, which is the first step you do as far as targeting. So we're seeing this happening in May and June, where we're going to be flying a radiometric survey and magnetic survey, looking for similar signs to what you see at Westmoreland, and get this project really advanced up the curve as quickly as possible. It's a large area and it's quite prospective in our view. So back to DevEx and DevEx to the board. Many people, I would imagine, know our major shareholder and chairman, Tim Gorder. Tim's all about drilling. That's the message that he likes to deliver, and that's his success story so far, is making discoveries. And the way you do that is you drill a lot of holes. To drill a lot of holes, you need to have support, and you definitely need to have good cash backing in a place like Nabarlek. DevEx Resources has got about $20 million in the bank. We're using that to maintain the exploration momentum for a focused uranium project this year. We're going to Nabarlek, and we plan to be drilling there next month, and also with the other projects as we build this story overall. Likewise, myself, a geologist by trade, over 20 years experience in the industry, and similarly, and in the audience today, I see him down the back, is one of our NEDs, Bryn Jones, who's also an NED and very familiar with uranium overall, and an NED of Boss Energy, and Duncan's coming up next. We have a strong uranium focus in our group already in the board, and likewise, we're with the cash in the bank, we've got this momentum that we need to get on the ground and not die wondering, and get drilling and following up on these results as we continue to move towards 2024. So look, in summary, I mentioned Nabarlek, what we're planning to do, and likewise at Murphy West, we want to be doing airborne radiometrics, looking for uranium, airborne magnetics, and get boots on the ground as quickly as possible and really move these projects up the curve. So look, thank you for your time. I'm at a booth down the corner, so if you want to come and ask some questions, please do. I love talking about these projects, so I'll talk a lot more about the geology though. Thank you for your time.